Pleased to say we're joined once again on the programme by the former Chief of General Staff, Lord Dannatt. Lord Dannatt, very good morning to you. And I wonder if we could start with that which we were just hearing. Once again, indeed, we were discussing this last time you were on the programme, the Russians continuing to target civilian infrastructure in this way. But as you said last time, you know, the Ukrainians aren't going to be running as a result of just this.
Well, I think that's right. Putin is continuing his pressure on the Ukrainian people. We've seen continuing attacks on their core national infrastructure. And of course, that is now having the effect of the pictures that you've just shown of people queuing for water. Electricity has been hit very badly. And of course, that feeds through to pumping stations, and therefore you get water shortages and so on. But if he thinks that he's going to break the Ukrainian people's will, I think most commentators, all commentators, would actually agree that this is just not going to work. The Ukrainians are very committed. Their soldiers are committed on the battlefield, and their civilians are committed in their cities and towns. And of course, it's interesting to reflect on the battlefield because the fight around Kherson is intensifying. It would appear that the Russians have moved some of their better troops to defend Kherson. And if it was to be lost, it's a major defeat, major embarrassment for Putin, as Kherson is the one major city that he's managed to capture so far. So on the battlefield, the fight continues, and at home, the fight continues.
And it also appears to be continuing in cyberspace. I wonder what your view is, Lord Dannatt, of the significance of the fact that the UK is now providing, well, significant assistance in defending Ukraine's cyberspace.
Well, of course, one of the interesting things is that the British government has felt this was the right time to talk about these things publicly. No bad thing to do that, but it does underline that we as a nation are very much continuing to support Ukraine. The teams from GCHQ and the UK National Cyber Security Centre undoubtedly have been working hand in glove with the Ukrainians to defeat Russian cyber attacks. And that's only right and proper. And of course, the fact is no surprise that the SFB and other Russian intelligence services should have been trying to penetrate Ukraine's governmental system. And of course, that was all part of what they were trying to do before Putin launched his ground attack on the 24th of February. He and his agents were trying to undermine the Ukrainian government so that hopefully when there was a push down from Belarus with their armored columns, the government in Kyiv would crumble. Well, we know that didn't happen. And one of the reasons we now know that it didn't happen was that the UK was significantly helping with the counter-cyber attack process. And I think great credit to our cybersecurity people for doing that.
Do you detect perhaps a degree of frustration, perhaps even desperation creeping into the tactics deployed by Vladimir Putin? I note this morning from the MOD the movement of some significant materiel to Belarus, which seems more a statement towards the West rather than the intent to use it in Ukraine.
Well, Putin is becoming desperate because there is no other way to look at what's going on the battlefield other than to say that he is doing really poorly. The attack in the north a few weeks ago on the Kharkiv front was really embarrassing for the Russian military. I mean, they fell back in disarray. So he is trying to do other things to improve his own position, to cause confusion. And this movement, apparent movement of some troops into Belarus is an interesting one. I don't think that there's hard evidence of combat units moving there such that they could try and make another strike south from Belarus to Kyiv. I think this is part of a confusing picture he wants to build up to try and bring some confusion to analysts in the West. I think the other thing it's worth just reflecting on, we talked a number of months ago about how healthy or not Vladimir Putin was. Keen observers now are noting that his hands are looking pretty black on top, which is a sign of injections going in when other parts of the body can't take injections. It's interesting to note that and just to watch whether he is as fit and well as he would like to portray. It's an interesting area to keep an eye on.
Indeed. Lord Dannatt, I know that we have to let you go, but I can't do so without first congratulating you on that wonderful poppy cushion just over your left shoulder there. Thanks so much for your time. Always good to see you.